Radio Free 102.3 KJLH. It's the front page Saturday edition. COVID town hall meeting. Where's my check? That's our theme today. Personal financial help during the COVID crisis. It's brought to you by the Independent Professionals Association and Council President Emeritus Herb Wesson. And we thank them so much for supporting KJLH and this program. Being joined now by the Congresswoman from the 37th Congressional District. She serves on the House Committee on Foreign Affairs, chair of the Subcommittee on Africa, Global Health, Global Human Rights and International Organizations, a member of the House Judiciary Committee, and also the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. I'm talking about Congresswoman Karen Bass. Good morning, Congresswoman.
Good morning. Good morning, Dominique.
I know you're super busy, and I so appreciate your taking time out to talk with us for these town halls. We are now in the next step. You warned us there would be another stimulus package that we would need to be rallying for that's coming up down the pipeline. But where are we now?
Well, I will say, first of all, I'm so glad that although we are struggling here in L.A., and in California, we're doing so much better than other places around the country. So we anticipate that there is going to be an emergency bill in the next couple of weeks. And in that bill, the Congressional Black Caucus is pushing to deal with the focused effort around the disproportionate death rate amongst African Americans. And so we are calling for focused, concentrated testing. We're calling for the rapid results. We're also calling for specific outreach and federal funding directly to community-based organizations so that we can get the word out and protect our folks. So that will be an emergency bill, but then shortly after that, I hope there will be a much larger bill that we can address some of the weaknesses that have happened in the current bill. A lot of problems with the Small Business Administration loans. Our communities are not able to get in line quick enough because the banks want to give the money to their preferred customers, and so we're trying to correct that. The unemployment insurance is there, but the lines and the backup is extensive. So we see a bill coming down the line that will be much more expansive than the one that hopefully will get done in the next few days.
All right, it's Radio Free 102.3 KJLH, Compton, Los Angeles, Long Beach, and Inglewood. We're broadcasting from the 1-800 The Law 2 studio. Congresswoman Karen Bass, a lot of people have a lot of questions and worries about the current stimulus package and how they get their check.
Exactly, absolutely. Although I think that that's one part of it that will work well. And so if you filed your taxes in 2018 or 2019, if you had the IRS deposit your refund directly into your bank, head and file, and then you'll get a check. But we're trying to work out any difficulties or challenges in that system as well. However, I do think that system is going to work a heck of a lot better than the Small Business Administration loans.
Well, that's a good thing. And I heard Secretary Steven Mnuchin, not one of my favorite characters, but I did hear him say that the IRS has a portal now where if you want to enter your direct deposit information, you can still do that and get your money a little faster.
Yes, exactly. And you're right about him. I mean, we have to watch him. He's the one that will be in charge of that $500 billion pot of money for the major corporations. I don't even know how to write that number. That's so big. But I will tell you that one of the things that we were able to get in the last bill is some congressional oversight over that $500 billion, and also a law prohibiting the Trump family or any of their friends from accessing that money. Because one thing he did not make clear in one of his press conferences a month or so ago, that if there was stimulus money, he made absolutely no commitment to not go after it to protect his failing results in resorts and hotels.
Right. And yet, yeah, that press conference where he was kind of like saying, oh, forget this. I'm not going to have any oversight. Ha, ha, ha. You're saying that's...
He said he wanted to provide the oversight. We didn't need congressional oversight. Right. He could provide it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And you feel like this is a situation where he will be pretty much forced to comply, because all of the bluster that I'm hearing coming out of the White House makes it seem like he is not going to comply.
Well, I cannot say that he is going to comply. I can say that we put the constraints on him, but this man has told us for the last 3.5 years that laws do not apply to him. Now, what I don't know is what kind of maneuver he will use this time around to get around congressional oversight, but at least it's there in writing. We know the only way to really have oversight on him is to have him moved out of the Oval Office, and we're about, a few months away from that, and we cannot take our eyes off the prize. We have got to make sure we stay focused on the election. And then also, Dominique, and I'm sure you're doing this already, but I want to put a plug in. Fill out your census form. You can do it online, you can do it on the phone, or it will come in the mail. But since we're all at home, there is no reason for there to be an undercount of our community.
I was in on your town hall, your telephone town hall the other day, and it was really, really helpful. So I want to thank you for that, and I want to remind everyone listening that you can also join in on these telephone town halls that the Congresswoman and other lawmakers are doing, and take a pen and write some stuff down. You get some great resources that way as well.
Well, Dominique, I'm glad you mentioned that. On behalf of the Congressional Black Caucus, this is not me for my district, but this is the CBC. We're having a series of telephone town halls, and I'll give you the information for them. This Wednesday, we're doing one for the faith community. We have the small business community. And Dominique, I want to do a telephone town hall with families of people who have incarcerated loved ones, because I am deeply concerned about the people who are languishing in our prisons and jails, where we tell folks on the outside to practice social distancing and good hygiene, and on the inside we have the exact opposite situation. And so we want to do a town hall to hear from the families what is going on behind the walls, because we're pushing for changes in that regard as well. We're going to do a town hall on education, on housing, and first responders. And when I say first responders, of course I'm talking about medical, fire, and police. But we're going to do a second hour that's devoted to community first responders, those who are working in the grocery stores, those who are driving and doing deliveries, because we want to hear from them too. We want to hear from everybody, because that's the way you do the best policy. When we did our first bills, we were doing them in response to an emergency where we had to rush very quickly. Nobody had time to ask the community, well, what do you need and how is it working? We had to rush. But now we have a little bit of time. We've done some things. We need to know what worked, what didn't work, what more is needed. And so me, the best way of knowing that is to ask the community directly, not try to think for the community.
Congresswoman Karen Bass. Also on the line with us is Robert Salcedo, the CEO of Community Build, Maynard Brown from the Crenshaw High School Business and Entrepreneurship Academy, and we're being joined now by attorney Angela Reddock-Wright, who's, of course, been named a super attorney for the past several years, a super lawyer by her peers the past 10 years, and she does labor law and much, much more. Attorney Reddock-Wright, welcome.
Thank you. Pleasure.
I think the last time I got to talk to you, you didn't have the right. It was many years ago. If you could take us off speakerphone, that would be very helpful. Just wanting to let Congresswoman let you know who we're on the phone with, and some conversation that was going on before you got on about people getting loans. Now, we really wanted to focus on personal finance today because we did do a show on small business. But Mr. Brown, you had something you wanted to add just quickly. Mr. Brown, are you there?
Thank you, Dominique. Yes, I'm here. Thank you. And what I want to add is what people, we've talked a lot about a stimulus check and external resources, but what complements those external resources is what we can do internally within the family. And I want to focus on those things that people and families can do. I was in the store the other day and I watched the candy and the chip aisle. And a woman pulled down 2 big bags of Cheetos and a big bag of chips. And now, if you're struggling financially, then you look at your wants and needs ledger. The big bags of chips and Cheetos probably don't fit on the need side of the fence. And so what I want to be able to do is to communicate with families and individuals to really develop a ledger, one that says wants and the other one that says needs, and take a look at your expenses that will allow you to get a realistic view of where you stand financially. That's the expense side. You can look at the electricity you're using, and we could go on down the line in terms of all of the expenses that you have.
Got it, yeah.
Pare those down so that you can get a realistic view of where you are financially and what that might look like going to the other side of this extraordinary challenge that we're faced with.
Yes. Mr. Maynard Brown, thank you so much for being with us. Is there a website we can go to?
Yeah, you can go to Business Entrepreneurship Academy, CHS, Business Entrepreneurship Academy at gmail.com, and that's an email, or you can go to Crenshaw, CHS, Business Academy, and that's our website at the institution at Crenshaw High School.
Thank you so very much. Congresswoman Bass, what about that? I mean, we're talking about, we have to take some steps to cut our budgets and sort of, I guess, tighten our belts is the word, as we look at pretty possibly extended economic downturn. Do you have anything you would add to that?
Well, just that, yes, we all need to be as healthy as we can and to be careful. But you know what? This is a really difficult time right now, and I think people are using a variety of ways to cope, and I certainly hope that we don't wind up contributing to some of our health issues by how we choose to cope in this time period. The other thing, though, is that when you look at the disproportionate death rate that African Americans are experiencing from COVID, I think we have to be very, very careful to not allow the narrative to become, well, the reason why so many black people are dying is because of our own personal behavior, and link it to the bigger issues that we know are going on in terms of the underlying health problems we have, which, of course, we've always known about, and I guess America is surprised. But when we are past this, we do need to address the greater issues that are happening in our community. And I just want to say hello to the other guests that are on the lines, but especially to the super attorney, who I've not talked to in many years, but know of her great work.
Attorney Reddock, yes. And what a great segue. As the Congresswoman says, hello to you, and I feel like I haven't interviewed you in many years either. Talk to us about unemployment. I'm sure the Congresswoman can join in this conversation. It is more money now. There is a big, long line, but it's also expanded, right, Attorney Reddock? Right?
Right. Thank you, Congresswoman, and thank you, Dominique, for those kind words. It's a pleasure to be on. I'll just take a step back and just explain exactly what the CARES Act provides in terms of unemployment benefits. And thank you, Congresswoman, for your advocacy in Congress for these benefits and other benefits. But the CARES Act expands the unemployment benefits that are normally available through the states. In the state of California, the average monthly benefit for unemployed individuals is $340. And what the CARES Act does, it extends that to an additional $600 per week, dating back to January 27th of this year, and it goes all the way through July 31st of 2020. And so for the average person that's unemployment in California now, they will receive a minimum of $340. And starting next week, the state EDD department states that they'll start to send out those $600 checks. So they will receive on average $940 up to $1,050, depending on what your state benefit is. Now, what's interesting and what's great about the expanded unemployment benefits is it also extends to independent contractors and individuals that we might qualify as being a part of the gig economy. They also qualify for the benefits. The problem is our state EDD agency has not caught up in terms of processing those added benefits or for that category of individuals, because those benefits are not normally available to independent contractors or gig economy workers. But the state is aware of it. For those of us who've been following Governor Newsom's press conferences, We know he's aware of it. They've added more employees to the state EDD agency, which, by the way, had downsized in previous years. So they're trying to bring back folks out of retirement. They've expanded the phone hours and are really, putting efforts in to help expand what the EDD is able to do and to catch up with the federal laws that are now on the books. But that's a general overview of what the unemployment benefits provide, the expanded benefits.
Congresswoman Karen Bass, did you want to add anything on to what Attorney Reddock-Wright said?
No, I think she summed it up very well. But, we also need to know, and this is in preparation for the next big bill that I believe will come hopefully by the end of this month. We need to know what is working and what isn't. She mentioned a couple of the challenges. Of course, everybody, the offices were backed up and all. But once the money does start flowing, what more do we need to do? I know we are going to need to extend it past a few months. But I will just call your attention to the fact that extra $600 a month, that almost led to the bill not being able to be passed because the Republicans objected to the $600. The same Republicans who did not want any oversight over the $500 billion.
Yeah, I read that. They were saying, well, it'll be more beneficial for people to not work. And I'm like, what planet are you living on? Who wants to be on unemployment rather than work?
I'm sorry. They were concerned that if they gave the $600, that would be incentive for people not to go back to their jobs. Yeah.
No, I don't know what world they're living in, where unemployment is better than a job. But right. One of the things, I think about, we just had Cheryl Underwood, the actress and comedian, on, and I'm thinking about a lot of people in LA who are actors and other tradespeople that work on productions that may have made that $99,000 or whatever it was last year, and now they're at zero. So under the current relief package, they get nothing, but they might be making zero income because, as you know, in a town like this and probably many others, you can go from one extreme to the other in terms of your income.
Yeah, we are actually trying to look at some specific fix for this sector of the community. Representative Adam Schiff is leading an effort to try to figure out how we address the entertainment community.
Robert Salcedo, CEO Community Bill, do you want to add to this conversation? I'm sure with all of the community-based organizations that you're now sort of marshaling into this plan, some other issues have come up around this.
Well, again, it goes back to what I said earlier, that, this is a dynamic process. Things are moving forward, and agencies have to catch up. So the most important thing that people can do is be diligent about following the information. Again, the website that I gave earlier, it'll be on a KJLH radio station soon. Just follow the information and follow your local elected web pages, because there's a lot of information about how to take advantage of this. And, on the policy side, thank God for people like Congresswoman Karen Bass, who are fighting the good fight. But as this rolls downhill, you've got to move quickly, because the sooner you get in the queue, the sooner things can happen for you.
Yeah, it's a great point. Congresswoman Karen Bass, I know you have to go. We appreciate you out there fighting for us. What would you leave us with? What do you want people to know?
Well, the most important thing is to become as informed as possible to all of the various benefits that we are trying to make sure hit the street. And I know that some people are going to have to advocate on their own behalf for things that don't come right away. But the most important thing I want to say is that for people to be safe, we're all struggling with this, all of us in the entire country. But California is doing better. It seems as though, we have hit our stride, and maybe our numbers will even decrease. But as we do that, people need to do everything they can to stay safe. So thank you very much for having me on. Anytime the Front Page family needs me, you know where to find me.
And thank you, Congresswoman Bass. I want to add on to what you just said, that Congresswoman Bass is also a healthcare professional. So when she tells you to keep your butt at home, she's not just talking as a congresswoman. She's talking as a healthcare professional.
Thank you.
Congresswoman Bass, thanks so much. And, of course, we'll have all the websites for everyone that you've heard on at KJLHradio.com. Continuing our conversation now with Robert Salcedo, the CEO of Community Build, and attorney Angela Reddock-Wright. I want to go to the phones, if y'all don't mind. We're going to go to Arthur from L.A. Good morning, Arthur.
Hello. How you doing?
I'm blessed. What's on your mind this morning?
I have a question. My check was snatched from me, my income tax checks for this year, because of a school that I went to in 1980, and they snatched my income tax check. My question is, would they snatch the stimulus check if they sent it to me, because they stopped it from going into my direct deposit?
So if people owe back taxes, is the IRS going to take that relief money or that stimulus money?
I don't owe IRS any money. It was a school that I went to.
It was a lien of some kind. Got it.
Yeah, it was through actually they put it in a agency, which is a law firm.
Okay, let's allow the panel to answer. Okay, Attorney Reddock-Wright, do you have any thoughts on this?
We haven't heard any specifics as to what's going to happen for individuals that owe taxes or that have some other situation where their tax refund may normally be withheld. So I would check in on the IRS website, because they're issuing kind of daily updates on how they are processing these claims. And if you work with an accountant or a tax professional, I would check in with them as well. But I don't think we have any current details as to how they're going to treat back taxes or other situations that might normally prevent you from receiving a refund.
Mr. Salcedo, you want to weigh in on this at all?
Yeah, I think it's important. This is a very good question, because there's nothing in the CARES Act that prevents this from happening. However, it's something that our members of Congress should be looking at, where we have some kind of survival benefit that supersedes any potential liens that a person has as we get through this period. So something to consider for the legislature. But I think that, again, just stay diligent about this is something you would write into your congressperson about, to make sure for the next round of negotiations that this is included.
My understanding is that the people that owe child support will have this stimulus or relief money garnished. Is that your understanding, Attorney Reddock-Wright?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So back to your point, Mr. Salcedo, if there is some kind of survival benefit that's meant to supersede everything, so people can get through this crisis, there may be some merit to taking a look at that, because we do want people to pay their child support, but some people have a mountain of it, and they may not be able to benefit at all from these packages, these relief packages. Okay.
Right. I was just going to say, and I think the intent of the act is really intended as an emergency act to help people through this situation. And so when we look at individuals, for example, that receive Social Security benefits or disability benefits, at first it wasn't clear if they would receive the stimulus check. But Congress made an emergency provision to ensure that those individuals are able to quickly receive the stimulus checks as well. And that for those who don't file taxes, as Congresswoman Bass mentioned earlier, that those individuals can go on the IRS website or go to their local tax help center, fill out a really simple form so that they can qualify for the benefits. So, Dominique, I think that's certainly within the spirit of what the act is about, but maybe Congress and the White House didn't think through all those details. And so as they go back for a second round, or they think about continuing the emergency relief, these are details that they need to think about for sure.
Okay, we're going to continue our conversation with Robert Salcedo, CEO of Community Build, attorney Angela Reddock-Wright. And, of course, we have another special guest coming up. Bass.house.gov KJLH.com/coronavirus is where you can get more information about what Congresswoman Karen Bass is talking about. We will be back with more. We're taking your phone calls, 520-KJLH, 520-5554. Just add an area code. Live from the KJLH 1-800-THE-LAW 2 studio, Radio Free 102.3 KJLH.